A building sends an alert at 2:17 in the morning. A temperature is rising in one area. A connectivity notice appears a few seconds later. An access-related message is already waiting in the same queue. The overnight operator sees all three, but none of them says what matters most or who should move first. The building is talking. The problem is that nobody owns the decision.
That is the uncomfortable part. The screen looks busy, so everyone assumes the building is being watched, but the person on duty is still wondering, is this a nuisance, a developing failure, or something people will notice when they arrive?
And by morning, the cost may already be visible.
Even if the original alert looked minor.
Exactly. What breaks if this goes down? How quickly would occupants notice? Is the condition contained, or is it moving toward a larger interruption? If those questions are not answered before the event, the first response becomes a debate at the worst possible time.
Welcome to Built, Wired, and Secured. I'm Alex Morgan. Today, we're looking at why building signals so often stop short of action and how teams can turn alerts into decisions people trust. I'm joined by Michael Harrington, who brings the property and continuity perspective, and James Rogers, a facilities and reliability leader. Thanks for being here.
Happy to join you. This is one of those topics that sounds simple until you stand in front of a real alert queue.
Glad to be here, Alex.
Most organizations already have monitoring, dashboards, emails, text messages, service tickets, and people watching different systems. So why can it still be difficult to know what matters?
Because volume gets mistaken for visibility. If every small deviation produces the same kind of interruption, important conditions have to compete with everything else. A missed communication check, a fan status change, and a comfort issue may all arrive with similar urgency. After a while, people learn that most alerts do not require immediate action.
So the system trains people to ignore it.
Right, and duplicate notifications make that worse. One underlying condition can produce a message from the equipment, another from the automation system, and a third through a service workflow. 3 lines on a screen can look like 3 separate problems, so the operator starts
proving the messages are related instead of deciding what response is needed.
Exactly. That is fine until it fails. The organization thinks it has redundancy, but it really has duplicated noise. Nobody knows which message is the starting point, and nobody is sure who acknowledges it.
Before a team changes thresholds or suppresses anything, what should it ask?
Start with the decision, not the alert name or dashboard color. If this condition occurs, should someone continue normal operation, investigate during the next staffed period, send someone to verify, contact a service partner, or escalate immediately? If nobody can describe the decision, the notification probably needs work.
That sounds obvious, but many teams begin with, how do we get fewer alerts?
And I understand why. Nobody wants 100 messages overnight, but reducing the count without improving the response only hides the workload. Every interruptive alert should help someone make a better decision.
I'm not sure I buy every there.
Okay, say more.
Some information has value without requiring someone to act at 2 in the morning. A recurring equipment trend, for example, may help with planning or maintenance, even though it should not interrupt the overnight operator. If we treat every useful signal as an urgent alert, we create fatigue. If we remove it entirely, we may lose the early warning. The better distinction is between information we retain and interruptions that demand attention now.
Fair correction. I was talking about the messages that interrupt a person, not every piece of data the building records.
That distinction may be the first practical filter. Does this need attention now, or does it need to be available for a later decision?
Yes, then prioritize by consequence. Could it affect safety or security? Could it interrupt occupants or a business-critical service? Could delay damage equipment or make recovery harder? And is the condition isolated, or does it suggest a broader loss of capability? A technically dramatic message is not always the most urgent one.
I would add one question. Can the person receiving it verify what is happening? If the message says an asset is unavailable but gives no useful context, the first step may be investigation.
But if the possible impact is high, verification and escalation may need to happen together.
Right. Verification cannot become a polite way to wait.
And the priority can change over time.
Absolutely. A condition that is low impact at 9 in the evening may matter much more before the building fills up. Occupancy, weather, business activity, alternate services, and the speed of change can all alter the decision. There is no single severity model that fits every building or every mission.
Let's make ownership concrete. Who acts first when a signal touches facilities, security, and IT?
The first owner should be the role best positioned to recognize the condition and start the response, not necessarily the department that purchased the technology. Facilities may assess an environmental condition. Security may evaluate an access-related event. IT may investigate lost connectivity. But the handoff has to be explicit.
And ownership is more than putting 3 departments on a distribution list. I have seen an alert sit for 25 minutes because everyone received it and nobody knew who was supposed to acknowledge it. That is not shared ownership. That is shared uncertainty.
That is a painful distinction.
The process should say who sees it first, who acknowledges it, what gets checked, and when another team is brought in. At shift change, the handoff should include when it began, what was observed, what was checked, what remains uncertain, and the next decision point. Not a novel, just enough context that the next person does not restart from zero.
It also needs an escalation clock. For example, an organization might choose a 10-minute acknowledgement target for a high-impact condition and a longer window for routine investigation. Those are examples, not universal rules. The important point is that the window is defined, the backup path is known, and in progress does not mean the issue can disappear into a queue.
Let's test that with a few ordinary situations. An HVAC condition appears overnight, but the affected area is still comfortable. What happens first?
Verify the condition, look at the trend, and check whether the equipment is still serving its function. If the temperature is stable and the trend is not worsening, the response might be documented follow-up during the next staffed period. If it is changing quickly or the area supports a sensitive operation, the priority changes. The signal starts the investigation. It does not finish it.
And watch the effect on people. A maintenance question can become a continuity issue if occupants begin losing comfort or access to normal work. Tenants feel this immediately. They do not experience a system label. They experience a space that is uncomfortable or a service that no longer behaves as expected.
Now, a connectivity notification appears. What is the common mistake?
Assuming the technical description tells you the business consequence. It does not. The first question is, what capability has been lost? Is this a convenience function, or has the team lost visibility into something it relies on? Then ask what alternate way exists to verify or operate while the issue is investigated.
Facilities and IT also need shared language. Facilities may say, the system is not reporting, when what they really mean is, I no longer know whether the equipment is doing what it should. Those are related, but the response is not automatically the same.
So the useful message describes the lost visibility and the operational question, not just the technical symptom.
Exactly.
What about an access-related notification without turning every message into a security incident?
Define the meaning and the response before the message occurs. Some events call for routine review. Others require prompt verification. The process should identify who evaluates the event, who receives the handoff, and what condition requires escalation, while avoiding sensitive operational details. A vague security label creates anxiety without creating action.
And if facilities receive something that belongs with security, forwarding it is not the end of the job. Confirm the receiving team acknowledged it, record the transition, and make sure the operational consequence is still covered. Trust the process, but make sure you can see where the process went.
That brings us to testing.
Teams often verify that a message was generated, but not whether the right person understood it and acted.
A notification test is not a response test. Exercise the human path. Was it received? Was it understandable? Did the first owner know what to do? Did the backup respond when the first owner was unavailable? Did the service partner receive enough context? Those questions reveal whether the process is dependable.
Pick one alert category this week and walk through a realistic example. Maybe people regularly dismiss it, forward it, or argue about who owns it. Compare the intended response with what actually happens. Reliability starts with disciplined maintenance, and this is maintenance for the decision process.
And resist the urge to solve every problem by adding automation.
Automation can route, group, and prioritize a good process. It can also make a poor process more confusing. If ownership is unclear, sending the same unclear alert to more people does not create ownership.
More witnesses, fewer decisions.
So, if listeners remember only the practical test, what is it?
Ask what decision the alert should trigger, who owns the first response, and what the operational impact is if nobody acts. Then define the backup and the escalation point.
And test the handoff, not just the notification, the handoff.
This week, review one alert category in your building or campus. Ask, what decision should this trigger? Who is accountable for the first response? How is priority tied to real operational impact? What does the handoff look like? And when was that response last tested? You may find that the biggest gap is not a missing sensor. It is an unanswered question about ownership.
That wraps up this episode of Built, Wired, and Secured. Today, we explored why building signals become valuable only when they connect to clear decisions, accountable owners, practical handoffs, and tested escalation. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Until next time, make sure the systems you're responsible for are built to last, wired with intention, and secured for the real world.